So what are we talking about?
We're talking about our story.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can
We
start.
both met once.
We typically rolls like that. The first time was in freshman year. We were in the same dorm.
We both have the same memory of this.
Yeah, which is, that's really convenient.
Well, no, it's just like, it's cute because that was my first impression of you was the same, point as your first impression of me.
One afternoon, I was doing my homework, and I saw this girl walk into the dorm, and I looked up and looked at her, and she looked over at me, and she smiled at me, and I was just like, whoa.
You smiled at me.
And
too.
I smiled back.
And I was like, oh, he's so cute. I love his smile.
And
in my head,
and
of course.
In my head, I was like, wow, that girl's really pretty. And then that's it. I didn't see her again for like at least another year after that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I already knew that other people liked to know us, so because he's such a hot commodity. You were. People thought you were cute.
More like a hot tamale.
Stop it.
Sophomore year, we were dating.
Do we
different
even get
people.
into this?
Yeah, we were dating different people, and Caitlin's family would come down for spring break and stay at this house in Point Loma, and the house was commonly called Cornish because that was the name of the street that it was on.
There you go.
And I got invited to this, small house gathering party thing.
There is a picture of us from that day.
There is a picture of us from that day.
Insert now.
See in the upper left corner, click for the link. We literally didn't see each other again that I can remember.
Yeah.
From that point forward.
We both moved home.
We both worked. I had been off of Instagram for a long time, and so I had recently gotten back on and was trying to reconnect with people. And I saw Caitlin's story, and it was a story of a really cute baby.
It was a reel.
Yeah,
I
reposted
a random reel I saw. He commented on it and was like, "Are you a labor and delivery nurse?" And I was like, "No, not anymore. Here's this whole story. Also, how's it going?"
We realized we were going down to San Diego the same weekend to see different friends. Obviously, I had gone on her Instagram by now and stalked her a little bit. Yeah.
And he didn't have any posts.
No,
none.
I had one.
No, you didn't have any.
No, I didn't have any.
You had no posts.
I had a work website in which there was one picture of me as a profile picture.
One picture, and it's a business profile. No,
I was like, hey, do you we're going down to San Diego the same weekend. Would you maybe want to get lunch and just catch up? And I didn't really think about how Caitlin would interpret that.
In my head, I was like catch up on what? My entire life?
Yeah, because we'd never really
you don't
hung
really know
out.
Me.
We hadn't.
Well.
Yeah, we had hung out at Cornish and maybe at one or two other events in our lives. We ended up getting lunch, which
turned into
within 15 minutes it was a date.
Oh yeah, it was. She sat us at this half circle fire pit, and we split a pizza, and we were sitting next to each other.
Yep.
And it was kind of just I thought it was a date from the beginning because I was like, there's no way. And he thinks otherwise. Thought otherwise.
I wanted to go to lunch and just play it by ear and have a good time, but very quickly into the lunch I was like, oh, this is for sure a date. We're having a great time. This is awesome. And so we proceeded to not only have lunch together, we went to Point Loma and sat on the cliffs and reminisced on school. And then we went to coffee after that. and then we went to
Shelter Island.
Shelter
we walked
Island
around.
and drank our coffee there, walked around, talked more, and then we went to a friend's birthday party together, and that evening, and then I asked her if she wanted to go to breakfast the next day, and she said yes. So I was just like, I'm batting 1,000, man. What was it that I had of yours?
You had my air mattress,
Yeah.
and then I ended up with his pillow.
Right.
It's kind of a long story to get into, but you know, ask
I had
us.
stayed at a friend's
No,
house. They're gonna
just
think.
ask us in person.
So we met up at the Spectrum on your way home, and
We exchanged stuff,
yeah,
and Noah was like, "Can I pray with you?" And I was like, "Okay." He's like, "Dear God, blah 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 blah," and I just was like, "What is going on?" Like, oh no.
yeah.
Yeah, so I guess we're gonna date. And I had sworn off of long distance. And then we continued to message over Instagram and text and stuff. And then we
FaceTimed a lot.
And then it was like, okay, well, are you coming to my house in Slow?
And so I was like, okay, I'm going up there. And so, first date. Well, not first date, but like first formal date in which we're both fully aware that it's a date. I stay at her house for 2 days.
Didn't I send you on a bike ride with my dad and my brother?
Yeah, I fought for my life.
I was like, okay, go.
Yeah.
And we went out to Novo on November 22nd. What year is that?
20.
2020.
Yeah.
He was like, you want to be my girlfriend?
Yep.
Well, after we obviously talked a while.
We immediately sat down. We hadn't even ordered drinks, and I was like, do you want to be my girlfriend?
No, that's not how
That's
it
not how it happened.
No. What did I do when you asked me?
You laughed
Yeah,
a lot.
I just laughed.
And I was just like, okay.
I was like, only if you'll be my boyfriend. When you left, I came back in the house crying. And my mom and my sister were like, oh no, not again. I was crying and I was like, that's my boyfriend. and my sister was just like,
yeah.
so anyway, then we did long distance for a year and a half, and we drove back and forth a lot, and we
Made it work.
And then I was like, let's get married. That's not what happened.
It would like pop up in conversation over the course of months until it reached the point to where we were just blatantly talking about getting married. And
then we went ring shopping.
And I feel like that kind of clarified things a
well,
little
it
bit.
happened really fast because
We had gone ring shopping, and I immediately, as soon as we were done with that appointment, I jumped on the opportunity and immediately started having that ring made.
What kind of ring are you getting me? We're looking for a 1.5 millimeter in width, yellow gold, pave style ring with white gold setting, 4 prong. E is acceptable, but not preferred.
And then
Yeah.
from that point forward, I was like, okay, I'm gonna just do my nails all the time.
There was really only one weekend that I could propose because you were super busy with school, work was relatively busy, and my parents were out of town most of the time, and Caitlin's parents were working, so it was just a lot
And
going
my siblings
on.
were at school.
And Caitlin's siblings were at school, so I think I actually got Caitlin. Like, I caught Caitlin by surprise because I made it so obvious that it was going to happen that she suspected that I was messing with her and that it wasn't actually going to happen.
It's obviously gonna happen Saturday. Because why would he propose on a Sunday? Because that's super lame. Because you would have to leave, my siblings would have to leave. Like, and then my parents would have to work the next day, and you would have to work the next day, and it just sounded horrible. So then it was Saturday, and everybody was here, and we went wine tasting, and, like, it didn't happen. It was Saturday night, and, like, my siblings were, like, being weird because I was going to bed, because we were going to go to the aquarium early in the morning, and I was like, okay, good night, everybody, and they were just all sitting on the couch. And I was like, well, am I going to see you guys tomorrow, like, before you go back to college? Like, I'm assuming they're not going to be up before we leave. And they're like, yeah, we'll probably, like, we'll be awake. I'm like, yeah, right. So anyway, I went to bed, woke up the next morning, they weren't awake, and I was like, okay, we have to, like, pack breakfast. And so I was like, what can we grab that's, like, fast? So there's these, like, Costco muffins on the counter. So I packed 2 in Ziploc bags. I'm like, is this fine? And Noah's just like, sure. And I'm like, in my head, I'm just like, he's so food driven. So I'm just like,
The reason...
why don't you have an opinion about this?
Usually I get really excited about Costco muffins. And the reason I did not get excited about them this time around was because I had already planned an intricate charcuterie board for us to snack on before we went to the aquarium.
If we just pack something fast, then we can eat it in the car, and then we'll have more time at the aquarium. Like, my mom was up, which I thought was weird because, like, she sleeps in, so it just was like, okay. So I'm like, I'm gonna eat my Costco muffin, do you want yours? And he's like, no. And I'm like, what do you mean no? Like, you haven't had anything to eat all day.
And I usually eat a lot. So the fact that I didn't eat that morning, that was a red flag in and of itself.
So, I kid you not, like a half hour later, my brother texts me and is like, hey, so sorry we missed you. We're gonna leave around 1. Like, I'm assuming you guys won't be back by then. But it was good to see you this weekend and stuff. And I was like, oh, okay, it's not happening.
Yeah.
Like, that's really the main thing that, like, tipped me off of, like, it's not gonna happen.
Was her brother.
Was my brother.
Sam really
Which
came
you didn't
through.
even
I didn't
tell
ask
him.
I didn't ask him to do that. He literally went out on a limb and guaranteed that she would not know.
Yeah.
Sam, I appreciate that. Thank you.
So then we get to this park that he insists on eating the Costco muffins at. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, Caitlin was like uprooting the whole plan. She was like, let's just go to the aquarium. Like, why are we wasting time going to a
Let's eat 'em
park?
in the car.
And in my head, I'm like, we're not wasting time. We need to go to the park. But I couldn't say that. So I was just like, I really think we should eat the muffins at the park.
He was like, just my coworker, like, it's a favorite park.
I made that all up. I have no coworkers who know anything about Monterey. I just had to think on my feet and was like, my coworker said this park is fantastic. But...
So we get to this park, and he parks the car. I get out with my Costco muffins in my bag, in my Ziploc bags, and he opens the back door of the car, and there's like a full-on picnic backpack with like a picnic blanket attached to the side and all this, and he pulls it out, and I'm just like, what the heck? I packed us breakfast. Well, then why didn't you tell me when I was suggesting the Costco muffins?
Because if I had said something, it would have led you on. And
I know why. So we get down to this, like, grassy area, and he's like, can you help me set up this picnic blanket? And so we take it out, and he's, like, frantically, like, trying to get it straight.
Well, I had realized, like, I could see it on her face. She's quickly figuring out what's going on. And so in my mind, I'm like, I need to get this set up and ready to go before she fully recognizes what's happening. Because there were photographers in the bushes and hiding behind the trees, and this was a time-sensitive matter. So, you know...
So he's just dumping.
I'm like...
He's dumping stuff on this
board. I'm throwing
board.
the blanket out, I'm getting the board, and I just have cups of nuts, cups of fruit, and I'm just dumping them on the thing.
And I'm just
looking
like,
at
here's
her.
my Costco muffin.
And so, you know, I got it all set up, and we sat down, we started snacking, and Caitlin was kind of just like, yo, what is like going on? And so I just started telling her like how much I appreciated her, how much I love her, how I want to spend the rest of my life with her. And then honestly, I blacked out for like about 2 minutes. And
he said, "Will you marry me?"
I did say that at
and
one
I was
point,
like,
yeah.
"What?" I was just like, "What? Like, what do you mean?"
Well, she said yes after about 2 minutes.
Okay, it was less than 2 minutes. I did say yes eventually, and then we went to the aquarium and told our family and all this, and came back to the house, and his parents had driven up, and my family set up a little engagement party, and now we're engaged.
Now we're getting married.
Yeah.
So that's the story.
I feel like overall, like the whole story, like everything just happened. Like it just fell into place. Like with every single
It was like if
aspect
you
of our
took
relationship.
a box, like a puzzle in a box, and you threw it up in the air, and then it landed down as a complete puzzle, and you're just like, how the frick did that happen? But yeah, that's about it.
We love each other.
Yeah.
A lot. I'm excited to marry.
I'm excited too. Oh.
I love you.
I love you too. Can we have chips and guac now?
Yeah. We have gathered here today. Marriage. Okay. Anyway, so we're going to talk about our story.
We can't have that in there.
I can edit
Okay.
stuff.
Good.
So, do you want to start? Okay. Anyway. And he's a little anxious.
We can't have that in there.
He was just like, bring it like this.
I did not do that.
You kind of did.
That's a
You kind.
total-
I mean, that was a little bit of an exaggeration.
That's a total exaggeration.
You just were like, yeah. Well, I wouldn't have hugged you if you didn't invite me to hug you. So
Consider this a formal invitation.
So I was just trying to be all cute and stuff, and you're just like.
That's how it is in this relationship. Caitlin's like all aesthetic and like really nice, and then I'm just like.
Cut.
We need to edit.
Cut.